That's a good question. How do you raise your vibration while you are experiencing grief?
I don't think that grief necessarily has to be a negative state. A lot of grief is an experience of deep love for what you've lost. It opens your heart. A lot of those tears are just coming from the open heart and expressing your love for that being that's been lost. When it gets negative is when there's fear of the future. Oh, what does this mean for me? Am I going to be able to be okay in the future? And negative thoughts and beliefs and stories about the past or the future in regards to that being that you lost that can create a negative state.
When you open up to that sadness and grief, it reveals that underneath is a very profound aspect of our being, which is compassion. Instead of resisting or trying to get through the grief more quickly, you can open to it, allow it. It can, as Gina said, it can open your heart, and what you find there is compassion. Compassion is like this balm that soothes the hurt and sadness of the world. From the inside, from our being into our outer experience. It's a great opportunity to explore, discover, and experience your own inner quality of compassion.
Yeah, the important thing is not to dwell on thoughts like it shouldn't have happened or regrets, oh, I should have done this or that, or to dwell on thoughts like that that don't serve and that will put you in a negative state. Same thing with fears about the future and so on. There's always a slippery slope between the divine state of love and compassion and acceptance and the egoic state. The divine state can slide sneakily into the egoic state of, oh, poor me, and this shouldn't have happened, and all the thoughts that create a negative state. So you always have to kind of watch that, but it's natural to grieve over the loss of a loved one. But it seems that so many people, though, extend their grief unnecessarily through negative stories that they tell themselves, and that's what you have to watch out for.
I studied NLP years ago. In NLP, they model people who are good at something so they can teach it to other people. And one of the things they modeled was people who had a fairly easy or effective process of grieving. And what they found that they did that was different from people who struggled with grief was that they, instead of focusing on what's missing or what they've lost, they would simply shift their focus onto all of the more subtle qualities that you gained from the experience, from the person, the pet, object that you lost, and sense how those qualities will still be present in your life going forward. The love that you feel for anyone or anything, you can't lose that. Everything else gets lost, but the love doesn't disappear. So, if you focus on their presence in your life
and the gratitude,
and you even imagine that going forward, all the things that they brought into your life are still with you. And you can imagine a future where you're still deeply touched by whatever it is, their wisdom, their gentleness, their playfulness, all the things that you learned or gained or experienced with the thing or person that you've lost.
Yeah, and they still exist. It's wonderful to know that they do still exist somewhere, and they might even come back in some form, like pets often do, come back to us in another pet form. But I like that, replace grief with gratitude.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.